everyone, and welcome to Global Outlook. I'm Mary Sitt. Our first guest is passionate about making students successful. Dr. Desmond Lewis is Associate Vice Chancellor at College Readiness here at HCC. He has 25 years of experience in higher education and focuses on developmental education, accelerated learning program design, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Desmond, it's okay to call you Desmond, right? I feel disrespectful saying that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, it's just Desmond. Tell me exactly, what is college readiness? I love that name because it sort of implies it's getting people ready.
Sure. Yeah, college readiness is the division of the institution that basically ensures that students are prepared for going into their academic courses. There are many different pathways into college. You have those students who come more traditional routes that are prepared based upon their K through 12 or whatever other prior to college instruction was. And there are some that still need some areas where they need a little bit more support. So college readiness is comprised of three main areas at HCC. We have the college readiness departments, which are integrated reading and writing, developmental math, and intensive English and CE languages. That's one. Then you have P16, which is dual credit, and we all know what that is. And then
so in high school, you can study courses and get credit for it in college, right?
Oh, definitely.
Is that dual credit? Yeah.
Right. So with dual credit, which is under our P16, is basically you have three different ways in which we partner. We as an HCC with our external partners with dual credit is through our early college high schools, which throughout the city, such as our A-Leaf Early College High School, and we have other early college high schools, whereas the HISD and other A-Leaf ISD and other districts embed their students within buildings on our campus, and they earn an associate's degree. And we also have P-TECH. P-TECH has to do with more workforce-based pathways for students, where students, it's the same thing, but they go to get their high school diplomas and also earn a certificate and or degree that allows them to either go directly into workforce or use as what we call a stackable. A stackable means that after a student earns this certificate, it will dovetail into the next certificate, which keeps going all the way up to the associate's degree and then follow traditional path.
So in that particular path, you're training them for a certain trade, is that right? And they get certified for that trade?
Right, it could be a trade or it could be, like I said, workforce, like medical assistant. Yeah, okay. Something along those lines. So it may not necessarily be what one would assume a trade would be, but there are more traditional trades such as welding, so forth and so on. Now, the third with P16 is our traditional dual credit, where students are able, with the various districts that we partner with, take classes in addition to their high school classes that will allow for them to continue to move forward within their chosen pathway. Now, the third component of our college readiness entire division at the college is our adult education and literacy. Now, that's probably the one that most people aren't as familiar with. But adult education and literacy, we really go out into the community, those persons of which are their second language learners, which we have those types of classes within our college readiness area, but on the credit side. But we have for those persons who need really the most support, or if you're working on a high school equivalency, normally people call it a GED, or you're looking for other types of trainings that are more truncated programs.
Right. So Desmond, this would be if someone hasn't been in school for years, they finished high school, they got a job, started working full time, got married, started a family, and then they go, you know what, I really want to get into a career that pays a lot more and that has a future. I don't really like this job I'm doing every day, but I haven't been in school for 8 years, and they're sort of really nervous about college. This is what's good for them, right? College readiness, and take these courses, these adult learning courses. Would that be the direction?
Right. There are many different pathways, because what you just described, a person could go to CE, continuing education, if they're just trying, which is, we do have CE components in college readiness. But to answer your question succinctly, yes, it's an entryway into the college. That's a non-traditional entryway, except, when students graduate from high school, come straight to college. A student from high school who does not test on college level based upon the TSIA, they will be taking some of the courses that we just described to help prepare them for their college level pathway.
What qualities make a good student? What characteristics make a good student?
Well, anybody. Yeah, I mean, anybody. I think all people are good students. We all,
No,
uh,
but are there certain qualities that, to be a really good student, you need to have perseverance or dedication or focus? I mean, what do you see?
again, well, for me, I look at, I believe that colleges should meet students where they are. So I
Okay.
don't think that there is, I think that what we're building at our institutions is the agency within the student. So,
Mhm.
and I won't say make a good student, but to equip a person with the necessary tools for them to be successful in a pathway, I would say that that individual needs to develop a network of support. And the network of support when they get to the college is allowing them to begin to advocate for themselves and have conversations and learning what to say. Because many a times, and I think all adults are guilty of this to some extent, we do things we want, and sometimes that oversees the things that we need to do. So
Mhm.
to go back to your original question, I think that a student comes in and takes those necessary steps to do what he or she needs to do and works within the system and with their faculty and staff and just embraces the college culture to understand that they belong here. So I
Mhm.
think it's a reciprocal relationship between the student and the institution where they come together and really merge and become bonded as a family of sorts.
And a student can just take one or two courses in college readiness or take every course, whatever they need, right? It's sort of a la carte thing.
It is exactly like you just said, it's what you need. So that's what
Okay.
we're here for, is what you need so you can build to a point where you're an independent learner, but you can always come back home. Again, I keep making this family analogy. It's like with, I have a bunch of kids and grandkids. They always know this is home, but the idea is for them to be able to go out and be able to survive on their own. For our students, the main focus is student success. And we
Okay.
must understand our students. And I'm going to use this opportunity for a quick shameless plug with the quality enhancement plan. It's personalized
I was
learning.
going to ask you about that. What is quality enhancement plan? You're co-chair of that, right?
Right, right. The quality enhancement plan has to do with our SACS accreditation. So with our quality enhancement plan, we've taken a snapshot of the school.
Mhm.
And with the snapshot of the school, using all of these different voices from all over, not just faculty, staff, students, we were able to identify some areas where we could do things better.
Mhm.
And they're not problems, even though you may see them written as that. They're more
Right.
so opportunities for betterment. From there, we were able to, we as in the entire council, because we have an entire council, a quality enhancement plan, advisory council, were able to develop a plan by which we could begin to change the culture of the institution to better align with students' needs in a way that's adaptable, is sustainable, and is reflective of the direction in which students are going to allow them to, again, to change the world as they have been. So our quality enhancement plan, again, that's a SACS requirement in regard to our accreditation, but we have chosen and worked through the framework of the personal learning pathways. And my other co-chair is Dr. Betty Fortune. And Dr. Fortune and I have been working with a team of individuals who I would be remiss if I didn't say their names: Dr. Misha Turner, Dr. Lisa Crawford, Tyron Vereen, and Myra Herrera. And that team, also, there are many others outside of that team, whom of which and Dr. Kurt Ewing. Dr. Kurt is the person who kind of pushed all this forward.
So Desmond, if a student were to take some courses in college readiness, would he or she immediately notice this change of culture, of adaptability, flexibility, sustainability?
But I think that the entire college, not just college readiness, because the
Okay.
quality enhancement plan is through the entire
It's
institution.
for everybody.
And,
Right.
and as we are building this change, it's not an immediate change, it's a graduated change of analysis of what we're doing, what we can do better, how we can continue to grow. So it's a growth process, and as we all know, none of us looked in the mirror one day when we went from the age of 2 to the age of 20. At least I didn't. Unless I was Tom Hanks in the movie Big. You guys can remember that. But with that being said, it's the growth of an institution to meet the needs of today.
So Desmond, the basic message out there is anyone listening, if you don't feel ready for college, you can get ready and become ready by going to HCC and taking some courses in college readiness.
Most
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And let me tell this too. I tell this to everyone out there that's listening. If you need some help and need some assistance, give me a call. Desmond Lewis. My office number is 713-718-5211. Or just email me. I'll make sure someone helps you. And that's what HCC
Thank
is
you.
about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Desmond Lewis, for being with us. Coming up next, we'll meet a young student from Germany who came to Houston for love and then stayed to pursue her dream. Details when we come back.
What does moving forward look like? Houston Community College has hundreds of choices, small class sizes, and personalized support to help you do just that. Enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars.
Wow.
But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
La forma en la que ves tus opciones puede cambiar en un minuto. Houston Community College te ayuda a encontrar tu camino con más de 200 programas que te abren oportunidades a puestos de trabajo. Inscríbete hoy para las clases de primavera y enfoca tu futuro con HCC.
Our next guest came to Houston in 2019 to visit her fiance. When the two of them tried to figure out a solution to being together, Amy Merker decided to take a leap of faith and stay here and become a veterinarian. Amy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking really forward to this.
Okay, so tell me about this experience. You came over here, you went to visit your fiance. It's like, how could we stay together instead of going back to Germany? You already had studied accounting and had a career in that, right?
Yeah, so not really studied it because in Germany the system is different. So I did an apprenticeship, which is like school and work combined, but it's not like all college level. But yes, I was an accountant for a few years.
And then why did you decide I'm going to stay here, and how did you pick HCC?
So basically what happened is I met my fiance online, how it happens so often these days. And I came here on a travel permit end of 2019, just like you said. And usually these last for 3 months maximum. But COVID hit and I couldn't get back. And every month I tried to get a flight and they got canceled. So I always had to go to USCIS, I believe is the shortcut, and ask them for an extension. And they were like, okay, you proved it. It's not your fault. Stay another month. Just try again. So I got back in June 2020. I got back to Germany. And we had made that plan that I would try to apply for a student visa because COVID was still going on, and well, it's still going on now.
Right.
It was pretty close. I got back to the United States with the student visa, I believe 3 days before the fall semester started.
And then you decided to go to HCC to pursue your dream. Is that right?
That is right. So basically, what happened is that my fiance, he studies at University of Houston. So first of all, I had no idea about how studying works here in the United States. And he only knew what he did. So we went to the University of Houston and they were like, okay, when we look at your stuff, we're not really sure if that's going to work out. Maybe try community college first. So I did my research, and the first community college that came up on my research was Houston Community College. So I tried to look into how to get in there, and before I knew it, I was in.
That's great. So now you're taking all your basic courses, right? The HCC, biology, that sort of thing.
Basic courses, but also advanced courses. For example, I have taken anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 in the last 2 semesters.
Okay, so what do you like best about studying at HCC?
What I like best is that in my perception, everyone is approachable. I like that the classes are relatively small. In comparison to like 4-year universities where you have like hundreds of students, which is kind of intimidating to me, to be honest.
Right.
So having like class sizes of 20 to 30 students, that's fine for me. I feel like I still have time if I need to interact with the professor for a specific question or a specific problem or something, that the professor will not be like, hey, I got too many students, I have no time.
So Amy, what advice would you give to other international students?
I would give them the advice to do thorough research about what their opportunities are, because I have been figuring things out myself pretty much. And one thing that helped me a lot is not only becoming a staff member at HCC, but also becoming a member of the Honors College at HCC. That has helped me a lot as an international student.
And how has the Honors College helped you?
So basically the way it works is you apply to it, you need a certain GPA. I believe the GPA has to be 3.5, I believe. To get in, you need a couple letters of recommendation and a resume and so on. And when you get in, basically what happens is they will look at where you want to go. They will retailor your degree plan to your plans. So you don't take things that, for example, I want to go to Colorado State University, and there might be courses that the original biology degree at HCC sees as necessary, and they don't accept them. So basically, they try to restructure that, specifically targeted at where I want to go and what I want to do.
So you don't waste your time or waste your time taking courses you don't really need for that college you're transferring to. One thing you mentioned earlier that was really important, I thought, was find a student mentor, find someone, a peer, to help you. Tell me about that real quickly.
So as you know, because I have mentioned it in emails, I'm part of the student government at Central Campus and also the United Student Council, which is all of HCC. And what I'm trying to implement is a student-student mentoring program, which is basically exactly what I say. Find a student who is maybe 1 or 2 semesters ahead of you, going about the same direction, and let them give you advice on which courses they found useful, which professors they found super helpful. And these basic things that I believe advising cannot provide because they have not been there themselves.
Right. I think it's a great idea to talk to another student. Plus, it's not intimidating. You talk to another student and you can really be free to open up and talk about your real thoughts. Amy, good luck with your career plans. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you, Amy. Coming up next, Sleep in Heavenly Peace. It's not just a Christmas carol. It's volunteers building beds. Details when we come back.
How you see your options can change in a minute. Houston Community College helps you find your path with over 200 programs that lead to real jobs. Enroll today for spring classes and frame your future with HCC.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
La forma en la que ves tus opciones puede cambiar en un minuto. Houston Community College te ayuda a encontrar tu camino con más de 200 programas que te abren oportunidades a puestos de trabajo. Inscríbete hoy para las clases de primavera y enfoca tu futuro con HCC.
Our next guest, retired as manager of LyondellBasell Chemical Company, saw a clip on CNN and started a Houston chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a national nonprofit group whose mission is to build a bed for every child who needs one. Gary Burns and his volunteers build 50 to 100 beds a month. Gary, that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me, how did you decide to go to Sleep in Heavenly Peace as your volunteer efforts? Because you retired, you've done well, you wanted to get back to the community. Why that group?
Well, it's a very special charity because you can financially support children who are in poverty, but then you can make beds and you get that gratification of building something very tangible with your own hands. And finally, you can see the response from the children when you deliver the beds. So a lot of places, and when I was working, it was mainly writing a check, which is good. I mean, it's necessary. But when I had more time in retirement, I wanted something more, and being able to, use my hands and be able to actually be in contact with the people who are going to benefit was a big plus compared to just writing a check.
Gary, tell me, what is the most rewarding aspect of it for you? Because there's lots of parts to it. It's getting the volunteers together, managing the volunteers. It's getting all the lumber and materials together, right? It's actually building it, hammering and whatever you do, cutting the lumber and all that. It's assembling, it's loading it up on a truck, delivering it. To you, what's the most rewarding aspect? Or maybe it's all of that combined.
Well, it's actually the benefit all the way through. Obviously, the children benefit by having a bed to sleep in. It helps them in school, but also gives them a measure of dignity and a greater sense of well-being. The volunteers benefit as much as the children do by doing these charitable acts, and by bringing these the building and the delivering of beds together. We're pulling together for those two activities between 90 and 100 people. So it builds our community as well. So all of that is really what appeals to me.
And you're using all your skills you used in your career life, right? Managing and bringing projects together. So Gary,
Yes.
How big is the need for beds for kids? Because, most of us don't even really think about that a kid might be sleeping on a floor or on a couch all the time, just because the family can't afford a bed. Is there a big need for this in Houston?
It's surprisingly big. It's huge. The best figures are that between 2 and 3% of children don't have beds in the United States. And in Houston alone, that's tens of thousands of kids.
Wow.
And in my experience, that 2 to 3% average in many neighborhoods or suburbs, that percentage is 0. And then in other ones, it's double digit. So there's a huge number of children that need beds.
And Gary, I remember earlier you told me that you met a family who didn't have beds for the kids since Harvey hit in 2017, right?
That's
a
right.
couple of years later, the kids were sleeping on the floor because they just could not afford to buy new beds.
Right. In 2 years, they didn't have the financial capacity to buy beds for their kids. And when they heard about us, they were thrilled, and we got them beds.
Okay, so tell me, who do you serve? Who's eligible to get a bed? What age group? And where do you deliver the beds? What part of town?
Well, actually, one thing I'm very proud of is that we don't put up a lot of barriers to get a bed. There's 3 criteria. One, they have to not have a bed. Because we don't upgrade beds. We're really just trying to give kids who don't have a bed. Sleeping on the floor, on a couch, sharing beds, that's very common. Secondly, they have to be between age 3 and 17. And thirdly, they have to live in West Houston.
Okay. And why West Houston?
Well, there's 5 Sleep in Heavenly Peace chapters in Houston. We each have a territory. My territory covers 20 zip codes, and I happen to be on the west side. It turns out most of the rest of the other chapters are also on the west side. There's nothing in Southwest Houston. There's nothing at all in East Houston. We'd love to have more people to start chapters.
And West Houston covers a huge territory. You said 20 zip codes for your area, right?
Yes.
And if somebody needs a bed, all they have to do is get on your website and submit a request?
Yes. So the website is shpbeds.org. They can go apply for a bed. And then if they meet those criteria, and they usually do, someone will call you back, we'll vet it to confirm where you live and so forth. And then we put you on your list, and it's first come, first serve, unless there's some special circumstance. Occasionally there's a situation where the court's involved and kids got to get beds right away. They go to the top of the list, but otherwise it's first come, first serve.
Now, Gary, you have about 1 or 2 build out, what you call build outs or build out sessions, right? Where you actually build beds and gather the volunteers together. Tell me about that. What's the logistics like?
Well, we start cutting the wood a couple days in advance, and then we pull together 45 to 55 volunteers, usually in a parking lot, and we have basically set up a production line, starting with sanding. Then we do tapping to identify exactly where the holes need to be drilled. Then we drill the holes. We take 7 pieces of the wood previously cut and drilled, and we assemble headboards and footboards. Have a similar process for side rails. We put a logo on it and we dip it in stain, and then we deliver the beds.
But you don't just deliver a bed frame. What else do you deliver?
We deliver everything the child needs to sleep in that bed: the wooden bed frame, the mattress, the bedding, pillow sheet. We deliver the bed, we assemble it in their room, we make the bed, and if they want, and I've seen it happen, they fold the covers back, get into bed and lay down and go to sleep.
And the look on that child's face must be priceless to have their very own bed.
That's really the huge payoff. I mean, it's great building beds, but it's a whole nother level when you can deliver the bed and see the child's face.
Gary, if somebody wants to participate and thinks this is really a cool idea, I want to do it, how can anyone in the public participate besides writing a check to pay for that lumber?
Well, they go to the same website, shpbeds.org, and you can volunteer. You put in your zip code, and then somebody will get back to you, because this is nationwide. There's 300 chapters in 44 states. The other way they could really help us is we're trying to find an indoor space for building beds in the summertime, so somewhere near Spring Branch. So that would be another great way to help.
And you also have like private builds and public, meaning companies will sponsor the whole thing and bring their team members in to do as a team building thing?
Yes, so we basically provide a turnkey project for team building or community service for organizations like businesses or churches. They pay for the cost of materials. They can select when the build is, where the build is at, if they have a parking lot. And then they can provide the volunteers. And if they can't come up with 50 to 100 volunteers, we can supplement, because we have a long list of people willing to volunteer.
How long does it take to build a bed, and how much does it cost to build one bed?
Okay, so we build 45 beds within 4 hours on a Saturday morning, and then we deliver those in the afternoon. Right now, the cost of a bed is $250 per bed. And again, that includes mattress, bedding, pillow, and the wooden frame.
And you don't just go out to Walmart and buy the bed in a bag, which is nothing's wrong with that. You have a very special ladies making something. Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, sometimes we do have to buy a bed in a bag, but the preferred thing to get is a quilt from the Quilters Guild of Greater Houston. They've provided us with just dozens of quilts that we can use as the bed cover. And those are really the most cherished things that we can deliver.
This is great.
The moms love them, the children love them. They're beautiful.
That's wonderful. Sleep in heavenly peace. So we'll look up your website and get involved. Thank you so much, Gary Burns, for being with us.
Thank you, Mary.
That's all for this edition of Global Outlook. I'll see you again every Friday and Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and p.m. plus Saturday at 10 a.m. Or you can download a podcast to go on our website, hccs.edu/podcast, or watch the full video version anytime on HCC's YouTube channel. I'm Mary Sitch. Thanks for joining us.